NOAA is 12,000 experts here to help, to fly into hurricanes, to deploy underwater sensors, to train models predicting tomorrow or 2100. We need to let NOAA's staff continue its mission. We need to let them continue delivering.
That was Dr. Sarah Cooley. Until recently, she was a scientist at NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, which is the part of the federal government that does, little things that anybody can do. Tracking hurricanes and tornadoes and tsunamis, stuff you can do at home. Hundreds of scientists like Dr. Cooley were fired from NOAA last week, part of Trump and his top campaign donor indiscriminately eliminating whole parts of the U.S. government, especially the parts we use. Dr. Cooley, along with about 1,000 other former NOAA employees and supporters and just members of the public and Democratic members of Congress and the U.S. Senate, all stood outside NOAA headquarters today, just outside D.C., to protest all those firings, to protest those weather forecasters and scientists who have just been fired from their jobs. They held up signs that said, "Save NOAA." Firing the scientists creates a bleep storm. There was also another protest in D.C. today. This was to defend the federal government as well, just a few miles down the road. This one was for employees for the CFPB, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Employees there were ordered by the White House to stop all of their work. They held this rally not at CFPB headquarters, but outside the federal courthouse in D.C., where a court fight is underway, challenging the legality of that stop work order. This crowd gathered today outside the McPherson Square metro station in D.C. It's the closest metro stop to the White House. It's also right near the headquarters of the VA, Veterans Affairs. These protesters were there to support all the people who are still employed by the U.S. government and people who are employed especially at the VA, people just holding up signs and applauding for them, thanking them on their way to work. The signs they're holding say, "Federal workers are heroes." This was all today. This was over the weekend in D.C., a big crowd turning out for a transgender unity rally. They started in front of the U.S. Capitol. They marched to the White House. It was also another weekend of protests at Tesla dealerships all over the country, protesting what the president has assigned his top campaign donor to do to the federal government. There were big protests at Tesla dealerships in Tucson, Arizona, and in Boston, Massachusetts, and in Springfield, New Jersey, and in Superior, Colorado. Also at the Tesla dealership in New York City on the west side of Manhattan, there was a really big protest there. There were actually 9 people arrested at that protest. There was also a big protest targeting another company owned by the president's top campaign donor. This was SpaceX headquarters in Hawthorne, California this weekend, right near the LAX airport. In Southern California, lots of people turned out there. This guy came dressed as Elon Vader. "Donald, I am your daddy." Congresswoman Maxine Waters turned up at that protest as well. The SpaceX headquarters in Hawthorne is in her district. This was Dublin, California this weekend, right near where I grew up in the East Bay. Members of the community there protesting against the use of a closed correctional facility as a detention center for ICE. There's also a big march in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania this weekend, protesting the massive indiscriminate cuts to the federal workforce. There was another protest for federal workers in San Francisco this weekend. A crowd hung an upside-down flag across from the Golden Gate Bridge. Protesters also lined up along the side of the road this weekend outside President Trump's club in Palm Beach, Florida. Then there's also what happened in the national parks this weekend. Check this out. This was in Yosemite National Park in California, also on the edge of the Grand Canyon in Arizona, at the St. Louis Arch in Missouri, at Bar Harbor, Maine, just outside Acadia National Park. There were Save Our Parks protests at more than 100 different national parks all over the country this weekend, protesting the firing of parks employees by the Trump White House. And when I say it was all over the country, I mean it. They were really all over the place. This was Denali National Park in Alaska, the Arches National Park in Utah, Valley Forge National Historic Park in Pennsylvania. Those folks standing out in the snow were protesting at the Indiana Dunes National Park. This was outside Rocky Mountain National Park in northern Colorado. People lined up on the side of the road holding Save Our Parks signs. So People could see them on their drive into the park. Because of the firing of park staff by Donald Trump, the staff at Rocky Mountain National Park has announced that they are not going to be able to keep that park open this summer. They will not have enough people. That is the 5th most visited national park in the entire country. They say they will be closed this summer because of Trump's firing their staff. Some protesters scaled this cliff inside the park and hung an upside-down flag, symbol of distress. You will remember protesters did a similar thing in Yosemite a few weeks ago, hanging that upside-down flag. We not only saw it again in Colorado this weekend, we also saw it at Joshua Tree National Park in California and off the second Flatiron in Boulder, Colorado. So lots and lots going on this weekend. The American people are making themselves heard. They are showing up. Also this weekend, the vice president decided to take a vacation. He brought his family to Waitsfield, Vermont this weekend to go skiing at Sugarbush. Waiting for him at the ski resort were hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of angry Vermonters telling them how much they support Ukraine and how much they do not support J.D. Vance, especially after his insulting display of Russian talking points in the Oval Office with the president of Ukraine. Some of these signs are very memorable. J.D. Vance, Zelensky is 10 times the man you are. This one, we saw a number of different iterations of this one this weekend. Vance is a traitor. Go ski in Russia. Also, I don't ski, so I assume this is some cardinal sin of the slopes. I don't know. It says Vance skis in jeans. Again, I don't know, but sounds bad. It wasn't just Vermont that showed their support for Ukraine. There were tons of actually pro-Ukraine, anti-Russia, anti-Trump, anti-Vance protests all over the weekend. We've got more on that ahead with a live report from our Pentagon correspondent coming up as we're starting to absorb this news that the U.S. is not only dropping sanctions against Russia and cutting off all aid to Ukraine, but also ordering a U.S. military cyber command stand down in all of its operations against Russia.